Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Have you ever wondered why some of the health officials seem to have some very weird ideas about what to do during the pandemic? For them, it all seemed to be a bit shits and giggles. And when you see what's actually happening, you can see that actually it was. It seems that some of these officials were doing their job while high as kites. This has come out and in the inquiry that some of them were sitting there and let's just say they were delving into their own supply. Yeah? They were rolling up a doobie, sparking up, 420ing it and making light of a very bad situation by checking out, expanding the mind and just getting on with chilling on down. I kid you not. One top health official even joked about having his own supply, and they do say don't get high on your own supply, but that's exactly what he was doing. So it's no wonder some of the decisions that were made and some of the advice was given seemed a little bit odd. Let's have a look. Now, I don't think anyone would be too surprised to think that half of this lot was sitting there off their bloody heads. After all, they had nothing else to do. They all pretended they were working hard, but really, once the rules were in place, there was very little for them to do except monitor numbers. And that can be done virtually automatically by computers and the hospitals sending the records in. They then have to work out some kind of script. No, their biggest task was to look busy, to pretend to be doing something. Because what were they doing? Nothing. Anyway, a top health official joked in a Scottish Government COVID chat about having his own supply of cannabis. Professor Graham Ellis, Scotland's Deputy Chief Medical Officer, made the comment in a WhatsApp conversation reviewed by the UK COVID inquiry. I would now suggest that from this moment, Professor Graham Ellis is no longer the Deputy Chief Medical Officer. If he is so blatantly breaking the law and using illegal substances, you have to wonder at what point his use, which would have been unmonitored if he was at home, was interfering in his work and in his decision making. Professor Pothead, perhaps, should not be given a position of responsibility. Top public health official joked about having his own supply of cannabis in a WhatsApp conversation with other Scottish Government figures. It was revealed today being yesterday. Professor Graham Ellis was appointed Scotland's Deputy Chief Medical Officer in 2022 and celebrated by nipping outside and checking the weather, taking some fresh air and enjoying some of nature's bounty. And he spoke regularly with civil servants and other health experts during the country's response to the coronavirus. In a transcript of a 2021 WhatsApp conversation published today by the UK COVID inquiry, Ellis quipped, "That's why I have my own supply," in a response to a message from one of his colleagues. Alison Straths had told colleagues with a humorous emoji that one of the topics she was working on was, wait for it, cannabis. And then he said, of course, "That's why I have my own supply." Because, you know, it's a long day, you need to take your mind off. So you sit there and spark one up and, you know, chill out, man. Welcoming Ellis to the group chat, Strath, the Chief Pharmaceutical Officer, said, "You will soon tire of my cannabis challenges." Is this what they were doing? They were racing each other, pushing each other to the limit. Let's see how near the knuckle we can get high before making decisions. Is this what they were doing? Is it any wonder that there was problems? John Harden, the Deputy National Clinical Director, responded, "She keeps promising, Graham, but she never comes up with the goods." Ellis replied, "That's why I have my own supply." He then added, "I hope this isn't FOI-able." "Oh dear, Professor. Yes, it is. And you have been caught." I think immediately he needs to be fired. Without doubt. Today, this day, he must be fired. And he must be able to prove that decisions he made were not made under the influence of these substances. Now, some people are going to say that in law, you have to prove guilt, not prove innocence. And that is, for 99.99% of the laws, true. There is one law where that is not true. And that is the law that was brought in for driving while under the influence. That is the only law, I believe, on the books where you have to prove innocent. Guilt is assumed. If you've been stopped and you fail at the test at this roadside. Now, the roadside blow test does not mean you cannot be convicted on that. That's nothing. That's merely an indicator. And if you're clear there, then they let you go. You're clear. If it blows red and you have to go in, they'll do the blood test or the breath test with the big machine, the lion machine. And that is what you're convicted on. If that says you're guilty, you're guilty. You then would have to prove that you were innocent and that the machine was wrong. And that is almost impossible to do. And so it's one of those where you are guilty, where you have to prove your innocence. That is a substance abuse issue. And I think it must stand here. He will have to prove that he wasn't under the influence of the very substances he's boasting about when he was making decisions that will have affected the health, mental and physical, and the hygiene and the whole virus and pandemic response for millions of people. Was this guy out of his mind when he was making decisions? Was he under the influence? This is something that needs to be looked at, and certainly with immediate effect, he needs to lose his job. Anyway, the conversation prompted Professor Gregor Smith to advise delete at the end of the day, a reference to the Scottish Government policy of clearing WhatsApp conversations not related to policy or decision making. Because, hey, it'll look bad if they all think that we're sitting here high as kites all day, puffing on our own stashes, which apparently, now it seems, they were. It comes as SNP ministers and senior Holyrood civil servants face a growing secrecy row over why countless electronic communications on lockdown decision making were deleted. Because they don't, of course, want the truth to come out. The truth for them must never come out. Because this is nothing. The fact that they were sitting there and they were high as kites making policy decisions is the very least of it. You wait to see what the decisions were. No wonder so much shit went on when all these senior people were like this. Smith became a familiar face to millions of Scots during the global health crisis in 2020 and 21, and by regularly appearing alongside Nicola Sturgeon as she lied at her COVID media briefings. The UK COVID inquiry is examining how Westminster and devolved governments responded to the coronavirus pandemic. I think if it happens again, it will be a unitary authority one. It'll be UK. We've done it out of a Cobra meeting or something, and it won't be allowed to be devolved. It will be a national issue, not a devolved issue. It's the only way to stop people like Sturgeon from potentially murdering thousands of people. And certainly you'd stop people like this Professor Ellis, from sitting there and jointing his way. That's what they mean by a joint committee. There we go. It's when they're all sitting there in a room, puffing away, giggling, shitting themselves, some of them on edibles. Unbelievable, isn't it? Only it's not unbelievable. It's far too believable. Anyway, he said the Scottish Government is committed to responding to both UK and Scottish COVID-19 inquiries by not answering any questions and hiding all the information and destroying evidence. And learning lessons from the pandemic. Yes, learning lessons. Lessons in how do we hide evidence next time? What can we do to make sure that no decisions are ever recorded and that everybody can get away scot-free next time? That's all they're looking at. Anyway, we'll leave that there. But yeah, there we go. So Professor Ellis and his team all seem to be out of their minds when making decisions. So no wonder it all turned to a huge, great big pile of shit so very quickly. Anyway, I shall stop there, come up and we'll round off the video. So there's Professor Ellis and a few of the others. They're obviously sitting there doping away, but it makes you wonder how many politicians were doing the same. And was it only a bit of grass? Was it something stronger? Maybe Humza was making an absolute fortune as a middleman between his brother and the cabinet. Who knows? Who knows what they were doing? They're talking about a line in the sand. Yeah, well, I think there was lots of lines on that table. That's how they arrived at a lot of these decisions, wasn't it? You can guarantee this lot were absolutely banging it, weren't they? A little bit of white dust, a little bit of green fluff. It's all there. It's all the same for them, isn't it? Well, no wonder people died. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.